Taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Taking the lead, feeling your heat, just wanna give you my best. I don't even know your name, but you got me, 'cause you're old to die. We don't know what happens next, but you got me, 'cause I'm next in line. You make it look so easy, making me feel so dreamy. Never wanna pay for drinks, but you got me, 'cause you're old to die. Got me locked in now. Go ahead and take a shot. Do you really want me? Maybe you're just playing. The way you're making it move, yeah, you do it so smooth. Make it all about you. Can have it all if you want. Taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Taking the lead, feeling your heat, just wanna give you my best. Taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that.
Welcome to the Meta Behind Relationships. I'm the host, your host, Gaylon McDowell. And the Meta Behind Relationships is a podcast that looks at life and relationships in particular from the perspective of practical metaphysics. How can we teach that which transcends the physical, universal laws and principles that when we either work them intelligently with intention, create positive and constructive experiences, or when we are not necessarily in alignment with the truth of our own beings, can create some inharmonious situations. So in this 5S for Love platform, you'll have many perspectives. You know, we have men, we have women, we have, different perspectives. And that's important. My point of view, my particular, what's the word I want to use? A contribution to this conversation is you're more than what you see. You're more than what is appearing in the physical. There is an unseen, invisible, spiritual and mental world or energies or perspective or context that dictates and determines what happens in the physical. So to continue this conversation today, we're going to have a great conversation about the law of attraction and relationships. And I'm bringing back the creator, CEO, and all around wonderful woman and friend, Christine Burkett, to have this conversation with me today. Christine, are you there?
Hey, Gaylon, how are you?
I'm excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I think my work day gets better knowing that on Wednesdays I can hang out with you.
Sounds like a plan.
So I'm really eager to talk about today the laws of attraction, because I think just from us talking, I think is relevant in relationships as well as in your professional life as well. So people really need to start paying more attention. And I don't know if you guys are doing this, but I actually rewatch all of Gaylon's shows and I take notes and putting together a plan or a strategy of how I can begin to evaluate my life and making some changes. So I know we're going into the new year, folks. So don't forget to rewatch the shows and begin to evaluate and assess where you are and where you want to be with all the tools and strategies that Gaylon provides us. And Gaylon, thank you so much for being on the network. I really appreciate all your support and participation in helping us grow this brand. So I'm ready to get started. I don't know.
Let's
Are you
do it.
ready to get started?
Let's
Okay.
do it.
So, I need to know this. I'm quite sure everybody else does. Is what is the law of attraction?
Well, the law of attraction, as I define it
Mhm.
is a term used to describe the belief in a universal principle that draws to people experiences that reflect their thoughts, their feelings, their beliefs, and actions. And in the Bible, people would say it this way: God is not mocked; whatever a man sows, so shall he reap. As a metaphysical teacher and minister, I like to use I feel as though a better term, but the law of attraction tends to be the term everybody likes to use. I normally use the term the law of mind action, which
Okay.
means thoughts held in mind produce after their own kind.
Okay.
Thoughts held in mind, that when I say thoughts, I mean the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs that we have in consciousness. I'm talking about those dominant thoughts, not fleeting, here today, gone today. I'm talking
Right.
about the dominant ways in which we move, the dominant ways in which we see life, our context, our point of view. If we look at life from the perspective that thought is mental vibrational impulse, that energy goes out from us, it radiates out from us.
Okay.
All right. And it draws back to us that which corresponds to it. So, like a magnet, it works. Now, if we look at the law of attraction from the perspective of physical laws, the physical laws like gravity, we all know what goes up
Comes down.
must come down. That's
Hmm.
gravity. That's a physical
Hmm.
law. Water always seeks its own
Okay.
level. And I know you in your previous work incarnation, you were a scientist. So I
Yes.
know all of this stuff is your conversation. Okay. So when you start looking at it from that perspective, the law of
Mhm.
aerodynamics always existed,
Right.
even before the Wright brothers ever flew for those, 15 to 18 seconds. It
Yes.
always existed, but we didn't understand it, therefore we couldn't apply it. However, the law of attraction is a law or principle that works regardless of your awareness of it.
Okay.
Okay. The law of aerodynamics works from the perspective of, if you meet all these conditions, your vehicle, plane, helicopter, paper airplane can fly. The law of attraction, or the law of mind action, just means that there is an omnipresent law that is
Okay.
always in alignment with your thinking and feeling. And
Okay.
therefore, what you hold in consciousness, who you are in consciousness, will draw experiences that correspond with them. All right.
Okay.
So let me say it this way, in a simple way: the universal law of attraction shows you your beliefs, regardless of what you think you believe.
Wow.
All
Say
right.
that again, Galen.
The universal law of attraction shows you your beliefs, regardless of what you think you believe, because a lot of people have beliefs
Right.
that they don't realize they have.
Okay.
The first person we lie to is ourselves.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes people live in a sense of delusion. But the beautiful thing about the law of attraction is it shows up as you are the common denominator in all of these experiences. What is it
Right.
showing and teaching you about yourself? So the law of attraction can both be a powerful uh, tool for transformation. It can also be a powerful tool for soul growth and understanding, because you
Okay.
get to see, why do these type of situations consistently show up in my experience. So when you look at um, from a metaphysical standpoint, this isn't a theological show. It's more metaphysical philosophy in the context of relationships. But when you look at it from the perspective of theology, we're
Right.
talking about omnipresence.
Hmm.
Omnipresence, okay, all the presence, or omnipresent, everywhere, equally present.
Okay.
If we look at God, an aspect of God,
Okay.
God is infinite, and when it's all said and done, undescribable. But in our
Mhm.
finite way of thinking, the omnipresent, there's an omnipresent aspect of God called law.
Okay.
Okay. And the job of law is to create, produce, and attract experiences based upon what you have sown into it,
Okay.
consciously or unconsciously. All right. So it can, whether it grows the seeds into watermelons and trees and whatever, and it grows our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs into actions and words into expression as well, into manifestation. There's this
Okay.
aspect of law. So you'll hear metaphysicians talk about divine law, universal law, or the law of this or the law of that. They're
Right.
always talking about the same thing. Thoughts held in mind produce after their own kind. They're always talking about understanding that this is a universe that is governed by principles.
Okay.
All right. Water boils at 212 degrees.
Right.
Principles. Water seeks its own level. Principles, gravity. What goes up must come down. These are things that we universally accept. And here's the beauty of the things we universally accept. We don't make excuses and try to create ethics around gravity. We don't create ethics around water seeks its own level. All right. We don't seek ethics around water boils at 212 degrees. Why?
Right.
Because you can be the most holy individual in the person's particular religious affiliation, the Pope, the Guru, the Imam, the priest, the rabbi, the minister. And if you're on the whatever floor of a building, you step off, it don't make a difference how holy you are. It doesn't make a difference if you're a newborn baby. The law says what goes up must come down. So the gravity is going to pull you. We don't make any ethics around it. Water seeks its own level, whether it's a holy person or a despicable person.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if they're in a place where water is rising and they're trapped, it doesn't make a difference because the water is going to do what water does. All right. So in the perspective of universal law, sometimes people think that it is God punishing them because of what they're experiencing. What I recognize is that this is just an aspect of God as law that is giving us back individually and collectively what we are creating consciously or unconsciously. Or as again, God is not mocked. Whatever a
Right.
man sows, so shall he reap. So, Christine, if the listeners can look at it from the perspective of this is the simplest way I can teach it.
Okay.
The mind is a magnet and attracts whatever corresponds to its ruling state. The mind is a magnet and attracts whatever corresponds to its ruling state.
Ruling state. Okay, so you know what? That makes a lot of sense to me, in a sense of when you say your subconscious and your conscious and your thoughts. Because to your point, you're right. A lot of people think I keep meeting the same type of person or I keep being in this situation, and the only difference is the person. But the situation keeps reoccurring. And so to your point, it's like if you're the common denominator and this situation keeps reoccurring, then obviously it's you that you need to fix, not everything else around you. So when you look at it from that perspective, the laws of attraction is an exercise, something that we can exercise and you can actually evaluate or assess by looking at your previous history, correct? If we look at how we've lived up to this point.
Yeah, well, I won't say the law of attraction is an exercise. I would say the evaluation of what
Okay.
shows up in your life is an exercise that can bring about enlightenment.
Okay, so I think that's a good point of reflection. So that's something I take notes, and everybody, I keep telling y'all, I take notes. It's not just for you. You guys are being welcomed into my couch session, and welcome aboard. But I'm taking notes, so I think that's something I'm going to do over the next couple days until January hits. We already talk about making these New Year's resolutions, but in our culture we make I am statements. So I think for me, I'll be reevaluating and assessing what I am attracting in my life. and from previous, right? So that moving forward, I can like reassess that and evaluate that. So how can we, me as an individual, and I don't know what you guys are looking to attract, but for me professionally, I'm looking to attract more business opportunities, for my IT consulting company. I'm looking to attract the right mate, for me to partner and marry or move forward with. So, how can I now use the law of attraction in my relationship? Like, how can I affect my relationships around me using the law of attraction?
Well, first of all, you attract the type of person you want in your life by becoming that type of person, or the type of
Okay.
person that person is attracted to. And I think that's important because attraction, how do I say this? Because I always trying to figure out the nice way of saying things. But let me teach
Healing,
it this way.
sometimes you just got to hit
Yeah.
it.
So let me say it this way. How to use the law of attraction. First of all, it means you have to become consciously aware of
Okay.
your own beliefs. It requires some some detailed soul work to
Okay.
see, okay, what do I believe? Why do I believe this? And what are the consequences of this belief?
Okay.
Because those things matter, because sometimes you can have a belief in something. For instance, back in 20 years ago, and I'm sure people you say it today, but it was commonly used this way 20, 30 years ago, about men being dogs and sometimes women having that conversation. Well, if you believe that, okay, um, even at a subconscious level, okay, that is a point of radiation because it
Right.
has to
That's
go
what you're
out.
going to attract
Okay, now, but it'll also make you blind
to
to,
the ones that are not.
yes, not only will it make you blind to the ones that are not, it'll make you blind to the ones that are until it's unavoidable.
All right, so you're experiencing these things, and it's like you're waiting till you experience it to then acknowledge the fact that this is what it is. When you're basically sending out that level of radiation or attraction, so you're attracting them to you.
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
the law of attraction, when you start talking about it from a pure metaphysical point of view,
Hmm.
as I would say people do in the New Thought movement, it comes from interest, attention, and expectation. Okay,
Okay.
how do I use the law of attraction to my benefit in the
Right.
context of relationships? First of all, I would ask a person, what are you interested in? Because what you're interested in, all right, brings a certain level of energy to it. All right.
Okay.
People are interested in different things. All right. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
that the person you date or marry will have all of your interests, but it
Right.
needs to be some level of similarity in some of the interests that matter. Okay.
Hmm.
Because if that person, for instance, one of the things I see, at least in the African American community, I could speak on this with some level of integrity, not with some level with integrity, is the the good girl wanting to date the street dude.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's fine until the interests come into play, because you might see other qualities, but his interests are going to pull him to the streets
Right.
until his interests shifts to, I'm not interested in that. And I've seen some street guys transition out of that belief. But many
Okay.
times that was after many a good woman was put on the altar of sacrifice, because
Right.
it was, they were trying to pull somebody who wasn't ready to leave those streets.
Right.
And then there's attention. What gets your attention?
Mm.
Like, for real, what gets your attention? Because attention is a very strong magnet. All right.
Okay.
What we're interested in and what gets our attention pulls us to itself. All right. So, I love martial arts. It's hardly ever I will drive past a martial arts school and I notice, oh, that's a jujitsu school. That's a karate school. That's a taekwondo school. That's a kung fu school. That's a
Right.
UFC gym. I notice it immediately. All right. Now, because it has my interest and it has my attention. All right. Now, what are the things that interest you and capture your attention? Because those are attractor factors in your
Attractor
life.
factors.
All right. What gets your attention? So, Raven Hollywell, who's a great New Thought
Hmm.
minister in the 20th century, he would talk about how he and his wife would go out into the woods, and they would collect different things. They would go into the streams, and he would be pulling out these shells, and she would be looking at something totally different. They're in the same stream of water, in the same woods, seeing something totally different. And you can have people in the same situation, sometimes raised in the same households, in the same circumstances, same financial situation, same age, same race. And if their interest and attention are on other things, they can't see what you see.
Right.
And it makes a difference. Excuse me, I drink this water for a second.
Okay, so when you talk about attraction, is attraction what you see visually, emotionally, or mentally, or is it all three combined?
I would say
When
it's
you
all
say
three
attraction.
combined. And it was one other point I was going to say on my last
Okay.
part about how it works.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
Expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard people say you don't get in life what you want, you get what you expect. And
Is that true?
expectation has a very strong is a very strong aspect of the law of attraction.
Okay.
You know, and again, not a theological show, but it's the best way I teach it is this.
Mm-hmm.
As far as expectation is concerned, prayer is a form of expectation.
Explain.
To pray for something and not expect it is malpractice metaphysically.
Oh, okay. Now I see. Okay. I like that.
I just saw your eyes do something. That was a light bulb moment for you.
Look, I'm taking notes over here because I'm taking my notes. Okay, so all right, prayer is actually a form of expectation. You're expecting it to happen.
If you pray and you don't expect it to happen, then it's malpractice. It's just gibberish.
It's just gibberish. Okay, that's
you
interesting.
Know, the great metaphysician, even though people don't call him that in traditional circles, the great metaphysician Jesus said, when you pray, believe that you have received it and it will be
right.
yours. Mark 11:24.
Okay. Well, guys, we're going to be right back after this commercial break because I have a lot of questions around what am I attracting mentally, emotionally, and physically when I'm looking or thinking about something. Because as far as relationships, that might be an area I need to work on. And we're going to find out when we get back with Gaylon, the meta behind relationships. We'll be right back after these messages.
Broken future, all the plans you made in your heart grew just to die. So I pull myself together to not give myself the pressure. I don't know what to do with it. Should I let him go? Go. I don't know what to do with it. Should I let him go? I fall for his eyes when he's staring into mine. Know he's bad for me. So what's standing in my way? And he's out of my league. I feel insecure, but I hope this is real, yeah. He doesn't mind at all. He want my juice like a. He does whatever while he feels for nobody but himself, no, yeah. He doesn't mind at all. He want my juice like a. He does whatever while he feels for nobody but himself, no, yeah. So I pull myself together.
All right, welcome back to the Meta Behind Relationships. We're talking about the law of attraction and relationships, and we're in the midst of Christine having some aha moments.
Well, guys, welcome to my session on the couch. You guys know I don't mind sharing it with you because I'm working through issues as well. I think that's one of the things too, Gaylon, that, people don't, it's like they want to live this life of perfection, in social media or in public. And I tend not to do that. I think, everybody's got things that they need to work through. And I like to make sure that people understand as I grow professionally, I'm looking at what I look like personally, because you need that work-life balance. And we talk about that a lot with me, where professionally I'm doing like really, really well, but in my personal life, I'm not putting in the same time. And so, folks, that's the reason why I like being on the couch on Wednesdays with Galen. You know, my workday ends with this conversation and gives me time to reflect. So, Galen, when we talk about the laws of attraction, I'm thinking now personally as we talk, like, what am I illuminating or radiating that I'm getting a certain type of person? And honestly, to be totally honest and transparent, I think because I'm unavailable, I think I attract people who, you say I meet no one but me. I think
Mhm.
I'm meeting me because I feel that I'm unavailable. I meet unavailable people intentionally because of the laws of attraction.
Well, I don't think it's intentionally. I think it's unconsciously.
Unconsciously. Okay.
So I don't think you go into a relationship saying, "I want to meet somebody who doesn't have time for me, is unavailable, and is unwilling to fully commit into this relationship."
Right.
But we unconsciously show up in experiences, again, radiation and attraction,
Okay.
to to meet that which corresponds with our mental vibration.
Okay.
So yes, I think you hit it dead on the head. So it's easy to talk to someone and meet people who don't have accessibility because you
Right.
don't have accessibility. And if you by chance have somebody's interested in you and they have accessibility and you're not, then they're not going to be uh continue to be drawn to you because it's not corresponding with what they need in their souls. So what ends up happening is, in many ways, that becomes a form of self-sabotage. It also, which we talked about before, it could also look
We
like
did.
uh, I'm unconsciously unaccessible, and this person is. So before they discover this about me, unconsciously let me ruin this relationship. Let me have these people jump through hoops like they're a lion at the zoo, to and then it's when they leave, it turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh my gosh, I think you just nailed me. So now I need you to tell me, how can I use the laws of attraction to manifest great relationships? Like, now I need to switch that. So how do I do that?
Okay, so yet again, I'm gonna go back to um, you have to become the type of person,
Okay.
So, and I know that sounds like a simple answer, but it's really not.
Okay.
Okay. When we look at our careers, we ask ourselves, what do I need to learn and who do I need to be in particular settings to prosper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody that's serious about their career,
Mm-hmm.
okay, not only is it the skill that you need to learn, what do I need to learn education wise, experience, or whatever? Those are the outer components. But
Okay.
anybody that's ever been successful in business also knows that how you show up and how you move in a particular space has to be evaluated and understood to be able to prosper in that culture. You know, you know, if you walk trying to get to the C-suite in downtown Chicago, you don't show up looking any kind of way like you would show up at a picnic.
Right.
uh, those corporate men and women expect you to show up a particular kind of way. And I'm going to explain this, but I'm just using
Mm-hmm.
context and I'm going to answer your question directly. So, for instance, I had some um, uh, friends of mine who work in the court system in
Mm-hmm.
downtown Chicago. I forgot the name of the place where it's a big place where several floors of just criminal and civil cases, state, federal, all type of stuff. and and I'm not saying this is in any way to be anything other than what it was. So there was this old school judge who had a case in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, he reprimanded a female lawyer in his classroom, in his courtroom.
Okay.
Why? Skirt too high, shirt too low.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, when you come into my courtroom, my expectation is XYZ. Now, could he have done that behind the doors? Absolutely. he was doing that on purpose. He was making an example of her. I'm not saying
Okay.
that's right or wrong. But what he was showing was you have the expertise, the education, and the skill. You earned your right to be in this room doing what you do. But it's also an expectation of how you show up in the room. Now, let's use this in the context of relationships. Okay. What are people looking for in a wife or a husband in your particular situation? And that can look differently in age range, culture, orientation, nation, religion. It's a lot of factors into that. Okay, so this is why I tell people that they need to get their bottom lines together. What are your non-negotiable, unalterable terms? Okay, so you're clear about that. Now, what is the flexibility of what it is it that I seek to experience in a relationship? Now, if you write down what you want to experience in a relationship, then ask yourself what qualities support that experience.
What qualities support that experience? Okay.
All right. So if you're an argumentative person and you want a relationship of harmony and peace and joy and whatever, your confrontational, argumentative behavior and mouth might not necessarily create the experience you desire. Okay. If you want to live a particular type of lifestyle, not having your money in divine order, not having any discipline on how you utilize your money will not help that create that experience. Okay. And then it's understanding what is it that the type of person you want actually likes. And is that in integrity with you? For example, I said on the men's show a few weeks back that that money, power, what did I say? Money, power, and I don't know if it was fame. I'm trying to remember what the third one was. Is makeup for men. That's the makeup. In other words, for some men, the way they get the younger supermodel, Instagram model type female is they normally, who are attracted to men with money. All right. Okay. Are you showing up a particular kind of way? Okay. Because for the man, they want the attractiveness, they want the figure, they want the agreeable personality. That's probably the best way I can put it. They're not necessarily looking for the wife, the wife of mother of my children and going to be at home baking cookies all day. They want a particular look. All right. And I'm just talking about one particular type of man, and all type of men. And there's some women who want more established, sometimes older, businessmen, entrepreneurs, people got disposable or extra income to do other things. Buy me stuff, fly me here, vacations there. Now, if those things are in integrity with you, guess what? You will consistently attract and draw those experiences to you. Okay, so that young lady that understands the attracting power of her looks, is gonna be in the gym. It's gonna make sure her hair is on point. Her pedigree and manicure is on point. When she steps outside or whatever, she's on point. And that guy is gonna make sure his money's on point, and he's driving the part, and he's dressing the part, and he's looking the part, regardless of his face and sometimes figure, because that's not the issue. The issue: do I have enough power? Do I have enough fame? Do I have enough money to be able to be the what the people who I want? So now that sounds great when we put it in those absolutes. So why does that guy keep attracting that problematic female? Why does that lady keep attracting Pookie? Okay, so
let's look. Why is the Pookie still in the picture?
Okay, because at some level, either their attractor factor is I like projects. I like to fix people. I like to solve situations, and they will draw situations or circumstances that will require that
Okay.
because that's their point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Some people you go around, they're always fixing stuff, always in people's stuff. Oh, I can
Right.
help you. I can do whatever. Okay. That person could potentially draw fixer upper
The
relationships.
ships.
Okay. Or they're also sometimes dealing with it from a perspective of fear because the law of attraction brings things that you love together and it brings
Right.
things that you fear together and keeps them together. Okay.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense then to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It brings like energy together, but it also
Mm-hmm.
brings fear energy together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we start talking about law of attraction and dealing with people. This is the part that nobody likes to hear. There's something in me that is drawn to it.
So all of my
The pookie.
girlfriends
The
who are
pookie.
making six figures and attracting these pookies,
There's
are this
something.
is this the good girl wanting the bad boy thing, or what's happening?
It's
Like I don't.
possible, but
Yeah.
it's also an aspect of just because you're a six-figure female does not mean that you don't have the same emotions and fears and anxieties as a woman that's making one figure.
Exactly.
Okay. So the fear of being alone.
Yeah.
Okay. The fear of being alone by itself.
Yeah.
Can draw experiences that correspond with fear, not the love you want.
Wow.
Because the law of attraction attracts like energy. So if you're in a state of fear, anxiety, and frustration around your relationship status, that can potentially, if you're wrestling with self-esteem issues, self-image issues,
Right.
all right, confidence issues, that situation and circumstance can draw fixer-uppers, it can draw pookies, it can draw victimizers into your experience.
Wow, that makes so much sense. And I guess I question, because in my experiences they're different than their experiences, but I'm looking at us as equals in a sense of what we do professionally. But you're right, I'm not looking at the emotional things that I may not know about them, that they may not feel. I walk around with confidence because I am confident about who I am and what I do. I'm not concerned about what other people think or feel about my look, whether it changes. I got a hat on, a scarf on, whether I'm too big, I'm too small. I don't get caught up in that. But if I was, then now I can see, because to me, I think when we look at each other, we're thinking, oh, we're both going to work making good money and we're out having a good time. And she looks good in her outfit and I look good in my outfit. But I'm not thinking what's behind all of that. And that's the reason why this person is gravitating towards you. And then this type of person is gravitating towards me, because I'm thinking we're same. But in reality, we're not.
Nobody
And
starts at
that's
the same line.
right. And I think when people are out here and they're looking for relationships, it's like, hanging out with you guys on Thursday, you guys are like, well, a woman who's by herself, I will approach her a little bit faster than a woman that's hanging out with a group of women. And then some guys are like, no, I'm going into the pack. And because the thing is, regardless, that person is radiating a certain type of thing. So it's safe to go in the pack, whether she's by herself or in a group, because you're just giving off those vibrations. So now I get it. It doesn't make a difference to men because you can pick it up one way or the other.
Well, let's go back to what I said earlier: interest, attention, and expectation. So people have a fascination with bad behavior.
Okay.
Documentaries on, you'll, for every documentary or movie that's made about a Mandela, you'll have 25 to 30 made about a Scarface or some gang leader or whatever, etc. Okay. I can remember when can't remember the actor's name, but one of the most popular shows in the Black culture and beyond, but definitely the Black culture, the Power series, but the original series,
Mhm.
Power. And I can remember saying to some family and friends that there are no good people in this show. I remember saying that. Like, I was like, all of the main characters are bad people.
By the way, I've never watched Power.
Okay, so
Am
right
I the only
now,
black person in America
but
that didn't
people
watch
were very sympathetic to the
it?
lead
Right.
character because it was a part of him that wanted to be out and then in and out and in and whatever. And they were dealing with the things that go along with the criminal behavior.
Okay.
You know, it was a good show. But my point is this: we sometimes want to enhance the good and ignore the bad. So the lead character had a lot of negative qualities, and he had
Okay.
some good ones, but he had a real desire to get out of the game.
Okay.
But he kept doing stuff to try to protect his back, and all of the swirl or whirlwind that he created with his lifestyle just kept getting him in too deep. The problem is this: when you have a lead character that is, doing all of these criminal behavior and people are sympathetic to the character, it shows you that there's an interest in those type of things. Now, I'm a big believer that most people who say that let me say it very plainly, as a South Side of Chicago guy, growing up from a child all the way to adulthood in
Mhm.
different phases, and being from a family who knows the streets, and I'll just leave it that way.
Mhm.
It's rare that you don't see a drug dealer without the woman that he wants. It's rare.
Wow.
They get women who know what they do, know how they get down, and they still get them because they
And that means
drive,
professional
they
otherwise.
spend, they
Yeah.
look the part
So
consistently. And
that just
they get younger, they get older, they get same age.
right.
And when I was in high school, they would pull up to right in front of the school in Corvettes and other stuff. They weren't really driving the BMWs and all that type of stuff as often when I was in high school. But they would
Right.
show up. Well, I was on the bus. So that same girl that was in geometry class with me
Right.
leaves out and goes and gets
She
into
gonna
a
hang out with
car
him.
with the drug dealer that's 24, 25.
Right. And she's in high school.
This was common. Okay. And she's just one of many.
Right.
This is common. So the money, the lifestyle of being able to have the disposable income, the thrill of the danger can be problematic. But I think there's something beyond it that people don't like to talk about with
Okay.
people who are live those type of lifestyles. Those type of men are exceptionally assertive.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they want, and they're exceptionally intentional.
Okay.
That normally make very strong choice makers. As Les Brown used to say, a drug dealer is an entrepreneur without ethics. I'm not saying they don't have ethics, but when it comes to this particular thing,
Right. They don't.
But
Agreed.
that, and I think it's an abused term, but
Right.
many of them have that extra alpha type energy that women are attracted to.
Attracted to,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
they're using that energy for criminal behavior.
Hmm.
So it's sometimes what people don't get: the athlete, the highly successful business entrepreneur, the
They go to that.
charismatic politician. Sometimes
Right.
it's the charismatic preacher. I mean,
Right.
women, digging on TD Jakes. I'll just leave that there. And
I don't see it, but okay.
where I'm not dissing him as a human being.
Right now,
really
he's a
wonderful.
phenomenal speaker. Yeah.
But my point is, because he's so charismatic, people overlook the fact that if that same overweight black guy saw them at the mall, they might not give him a play.
Right. If he was just a plumber.
Okay. So, but that charisma, the confidence,
Right.
courage, the firm decision making, the I know what I want and I'm gonna make it happen energy, is attractive.
And those dollars don't hurt either.
And
Those
the dollars,
don't hurt.
obviously money is
Yeah,
attractive.
that doesn't hurt.
Okay, but get the perspective that I'm saying. What is the energy behind the money?
Right.
What is the energy behind the fame?
Yeah.
What is the energy behind the power? It's what
And
created all of it.
That's what attracted you to that person.
All right. So when you understand the law of attraction from that perspective, you can see why things happen the way they happen. People are attracted to really confident people.
Yeah.
Point
Now,
blank.
you know what?
Because here's the thing: if you don't believe in you, why
it.
should I believe in you?
That's it. Now I see so many things. I have my own aha moment as to why what you just said, the level of confidence. And I think sometimes for me, I step back from that because I don't understand that I'm illuminating that much confidence. And it does come off to some people as masculine energy because I'm very confident in who I am, in my business and what I do in my person. So I can see that. And I can see how also that could be attracted to the same sex in a way that, oh, I enjoy hanging out with this person because of that. But it can also be a conflict at the same time because it becomes a little bit of you feeling indifferent because you begin to measure yourself against that person subconsciously, and that person's not aware of it, but you are, kind of thing. And so now I'm starting to see, so, my sessions with you on the couch, it's really helping me kind of break down me. Folks, when we get back after this quick commercial break, we're going to talk about the signs of attracting the wrong people. The law of attraction, you're attracting the wrong people. And Gaylon kind of hit on that a few minutes ago when we were talking about Pookie, or we were talking about the drug dealer. So the thing is, ladies, you got to start taking a closer perspective on what you're attracting subconsciously. You may look glamorous on the outside. You may be buffed and looking amazing on the inside. But behind all those muscles is an insecurity. And ladies, behind that Prada and them red bottoms and that cultured body that you guys spend so much time on, it's attracting the wrong person. And you might want to ask yourself why. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Get it that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. I get to it first, I got you mad. I guess that when I get to it last. Get it that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going up, going up.
Welcome back to the meta behind relationships. And Christine, you said you want to do some drill down, so let me hear it.
I think we ought to do a drill down on the signs that you're attracting the wrong people. Like, what are the signs?
Okay, so this is where the truth bomb really hits.
Let me get a clean piece of paper.
This is the truth bomb.
Okay.
According to the law of attraction, you are never attracting the wrong person.
That's not, wait a minute. Wait. Okay, see?
According to the law of attraction, you are never attracting the wrong person.
Even when it's Pookie?
According to the law of attraction, you are never attracting the wrong person.
Okay, explain that one, Gaylon.
Okay. Who you are, your way
Okay.
of being, is radiates and attracts that which
Okay.
corresponds or completes. That's the part that other people don't like to hear. Or completes your dominant mental states.
Okay.
Okay, consciously and unconsciously.
Okay.
So consciously, you can say, I want all of these great things, but unconsciously, you believe you have interest will get your attention, and what you expect is something totally different. So according to the law of attraction, you never attract the wrong person, because that is, and I'm speaking now to Dr. Christine, the scientist, because the relationship is only an outcome.
Is only an outcome. So basically, this leads into my other question. Then, you're saying it begins with everything in my mind.
Yes, everything begins in your mind, okay? Including the potential relationships, your money, your career, your job, your home, where you live,
Okay.
all of that begins in the mind, okay? Attention, interest, expectation. So if everything begins in my mind, the first place that I need to clean up and reevaluate and restructure is my mind. This is why I'm a big believer in and whatever you need to do to get your mind together, whether that's therapy. As a metaphysician, I promote it. I do pastoral care as a minister. I do counseling and coaching as a teacher. I teach classes. I preach and do these podcasts and all this other stuff. But it's also the journaling. It's also the reading stuff. Sometimes when it's hard, it's the prayer work. It's the meditation. It's the visualization. Why are you doing all of these things? You're doing them because it's helping you evaluate and restructure your mental systems. So I often tell people, I built this guy. This guy didn't show up the way he showed up. The way I think, the way I feel, what I believe, how I talk, how I move was created. Now, did I get stuff from my upbringing? Yes, parents and family and school and environment and all those things are factors. Tradition, culture, race, gender, all of those things are factors. Now, after you take all of those factors into play, then you have to decide, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be?
Okay.
What do I want to experience? And what type of people do I want in my life? All right. And what that will develop is a very conscious yes and a very conscious no. What are you saying yes to in your life? And what are you saying no to in your life? Okay.
Gaylon, this session today, believe it or not, answered a lot of questions. Like, I have these huge question marks where I leave a thought. And by the way, folks, if you're in my house, you see a lot of these sticky notes sitting on mirrors, because when I have a thought, I put it on there. And one particular mirror, which is in the studio, is called Questions of the Day. And I'll write down questions and stick it up there. And when I go back, I need to go back and respond. And it was related to, where are your thoughts taking you? And that's what I asked myself one day. Where are your thoughts taking you? And I put Christine. Where are your thoughts taking you? So now this makes a lot of sense. So, Gaylon, as we close out this segment, I wanted to make sure, and guys, and I do say, I have one benefit over you guys. I do have access to Gaylon outside of the podcast, and I'm grateful for that, and I don't abuse it. But I want to make sure that people at home, you can give them some activities or exercises that you would recommend that they can begin using to evaluate their current relationships as it relates to the law of attraction. That will better help them assess how they need to move forward. Again, folks, make sure if you're watching this for the first time, rewind it and get your sticky notes or your notebook. Gaylon will be coming out with a couple things that I think is going to be beneficial. His book will be coming out soon. He'll have some other things that you guys can pick up, like journals. It's like we do a thing within Unity called the Mastermind series, but he'll have his own journal coming out where you guys can just take notes on planning strategies for your life using metaphysics. And it's so important that you begin to understand what he's saying and how to utilize those tools and resources. So folks, you know me, I'll leave the last 5 minutes to Gaylon, because again, I think you guys need it just as much as I do. So Gaylon, if you can please tell us what activities or exercises that we can use that you would recommend that will help us evaluate how we're attracting certain things in our life and how we can begin to work on those things so we can bring positive things into our relationships in our life. Thank you again, Gaylon, for another amazing show. I really appreciate all your love and support on the 5S to Love Network. Have a great day.
All right, thanks. So the first thing I want to have you do is actually, again, get a yellow pad out. I'm a big yellow pad person. Yellow pad, a notebook, or something you can write on. I have yellow pads and notebooks almost everywhere because I'm always scribbling something. But I would like you to just sit down and go in your past, look at your relationships, and write down the qualities that you liked about those past relationships and the qualities that you didn't like. And I want you to see if there are any commonalities. Normally there are. Then write down what type of person, what attracted you to that person initially, and look for the commonalities. What turned you off from that person? Look for the commonalities. Now, this seems like a lot of work. Yes, it is. But what I want you to get to is understanding what type of person are you attracted to. Now, I often tell people you don't always control what you're attracted to initially, but because people just have types and things of that nature. I get that, but you do control what you do with that type of attraction. So if you realize that you're being attracted to people who don't display what I would call constructive, harmonious behavior, then that gives you an opportunity to do some reevaluation. And then you go back to what I said earlier. What type of person do I want to be? What type of relationships or relationship do I want to have? In this context, intimate relationship. Where do I want that relationship to go? Do you want to be a person who's married? Are you marriage minded? Some people can be in relationships for decades and they don't care about being married. That's not an issue for them at all. They'll keep the status quo. So you need to know what type of person you want to be. Who do you want to be? And what do you want in a relationship? What do you really want to experience? What type of person do you want to live with, to grow with, to develop with, to share your body with? I mean, in real talk, like, okay. And then get clear about, after you had all of those things, what attracted you to the people that came into your life previously? Because it had to be something. And sometimes that requires some reflection because, as I mentioned earlier, with the people who are the hustlers with the money and the disposable income from their criminal behavior, it might just look like it's only money, power, or fame. And you can be hood famous, by the way, like the man in your neighborhood or the woman in your neighborhood. So it don't mean you have to be worldwide famous. You can be famous in your circles. But behind all of that is, what type of attributes are you attracted to? What type of qualities are you attracted to? Recognizing that you are a magnet and you draw those type of experiences. So what I would then do is write down what it is that you seek to produce and what attributes you want in a positive light. In other words, if you like assertiveness and make it happen mentality, but you also want grace and forgiveness and compassionate conversation and understanding, you need to be clear and write those things down. And you might need to write them down every day for 40 days, 60 days, 90 days. Write down exactly your profile. And I know this is different from the list that the women have. This is an exercise that works on your consciousness, okay? To develop it, to shift it energetically. Because as you rise in consciousness, you create more opportunities and possibilities for new good to come into your life, all right? And you can override what you went through before. So I'm going to use a theological term, but it's a theological term I love, so I use it often. It's from the great metaphysical writer minister and teacher Emmett Fox, who was one of my favorites of all time. He's the guy who wrote "There's no such thing as undemonstrated understanding," but that's not the quote I'm going to be using in this. And this quote is, "Christ is Lord over karma." And he wasn't talking about it from a perspective of a man who walked the earth 2,000 years ago, or whatever your theological beliefs are about Jesus. He's using Christ as a standard of truth. In other words, when you are functioning from this higher Christ or God consciousness, the higher you rise in consciousness spiritually, the more you don't have to deal with the regular reaping and sowing of karma. So you can live above what you've been through and your previous behavior and what you produced in the past, because Christ is Lord over karma. So I want you just to use that in any way. If you need to say truth or God or whatever the term it is that you need to use, Christ consciousness, God consciousness, spiritual consciousness is Lord over karma. It will help shift your belief that I don't have to go through something because I've been through these particular things. I can be healed even though my body has been sick. I can be prospered even though I've lived a life of lack and limitation in the past. I can have harmony and peace even though I might have produced or was born or raised in chaos and disorganization and violence. You can, what I want you to do is choose over and over again the good you desire in your mind, with your feelings, with your words, and with your actions. And when stuff shows up that reflects the old way, the old you have to keep saying no to it over and over again. No to Pookie, or whatever the female equivalent of Pookie is. No to it. No to relationships or dating that devalues you. No to being in situations and circumstances that aren't going anywhere. Because if you don't create a vacuum for what you want, the nonsense that you're currently engaged in will keep you from the new possibilities of your life or for your life. So what I would just say to you again is listen to this podcast over again, because even in this part, I dropped a lot of information. Stop it, process it, write it down, follow it through, work it. And I would love to hear from you about how it worked for you, because as the lady who taught me, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, used to always say, it works if you work it. So God bless you. I love you even if I don't know you, because I know who you are. Take care.
We know what you made of. I do better offline. Get it? I've been calling to a God. I'm in tune with the signs. I'm just trying to let go. I'm just trying to be me. I'm just trying to do fun. Moon landed with the elevation, Armstrong with the levitation. My third eye needed calibration. That was heat rock when I notated. I've been going crazy. Stone face when I kill beat, leaving no trace on location. Premeditated, ayy.